Known by many Ugandans as the land of milk and honey, Kashaka Mbarara is indeed a land gifted by God in a special way. And here on Seeds of Gold, we promise to change your thinking about agriculture. Come with us as we take you through this unforgettable experience. Pretty soon, we arrived at the Highmark Dairy Farm in Kashaka Mbarara, a place worth the visit. Coming up on Seeds of Gold.
Ugandans are good entrepreneurs on paper, but when it comes to implementation, then we have some fear.
As you enter into the farm, you are greeted by the remarkable sight of vegetables lined along the way. To do just that, amaze you. There is no single structure put here by mistake, and in a few minutes, we will be taking you through what is this all about.
Why should I plant roses here when my cabbages can act as flowers? We'll call them ornamental, but we can still feed on them. The best form of saving is by stopping the spending. If you can stop the gap, that conduit of spending, then you have already saved. For example, if I'm buying tomatoes of 1,000 shillings every day, if I grow my tomatoes, I have saved.
Nicholas was ready to tell us how he launched this amazing venture.
I'm Nicholas Masiko. I love to call myself a farmer because I am one and that's my passion. But a professional, I'm an agricultural engineer. As I thought of retiring, I thought I should retire into farming and make a difference in our society. I'm born in former Bushenyi, in a place called Tendero. And then in 2004, I bought this place using my small resources. We were buying small pieces of land to what now is currently Highmark Dairy Farm, sitting on 51 acres.
There is a lot happening on this farm. I am intrigued. Please, take us through what you do here.
Our main enterprise, we do mixed farming, but our major enterprise is dairy and basically zero grazing. Although we still have some animals that graze outside, that they're doing free range, but basically because of the limited land and because of our ambition of having a big production, we decided to go zero grazing, where we can control the environment of these animals to optimize their production. I'm a product of agriculture because my parents could not afford, they were not working those high offices, so they were only tilling the land to raise our school fees that educated me to the level I was. And the challenge is that once we get educated, we tend to abandon agriculture to the peasants. So my concept or my thinking was, why don't I come back to farming, put the knowledge I acquired in those educational institutions, and then improve it so that even our community can also adopt this better farming method to improve their production.
Nicholas believes that passion is one of the motivators for one to start such an enterprise.
What considerations, what would make people to invest in zero grazing or into farming? One is that you should love the enterprise you are going to undertake. I have a passion for animals. I love animals and I love living in the rural areas, giving back to the people I came from. Secondly is to remove the fear to invest and also the commitment to work hard. Then thirdly is also look at the returns. We want quick money. We think everybody is going to get quick money, but quick money is not going to develop this country.
On his farm, he practices zero grazing on a large scale. How does this work out?
Initially, when we start to put in the animals, then we use an organic bedding material. You just don't put the cows on the ground. We started with sawdust. After construction, on our bare ground, because we are removing concrete, we are no longer interested in using concrete, especially maybe in a few areas like the feeding area and the troughs. That's where we can use concrete. But on the rest of the structure, we are just only using the bare ground. So it reduces construction costs. So we started with an organic material, which in this case, the readily available material was sawdust from Barara. But you can use coffee husks, you can use the rice husks, you can use any dry grass chopped to make an absorbing material. You can use anything, like even the millet chaffs after harvesting milk and millet, and then you're cleaning up the chaff that you get out. You can start with that. Then afterwards, it's all mixed up with the dung, and you keep piling your dung. And now, if let's say in the new structure I'm going to the bedding material I'm going to use is this very dung, which I'm going to dry, and then use it on the other side. So I don't need now to suffer with any other bedding material.
I must confess, this is the first time I'm seeing this kind of zero grazing where the ground is not concrete. Everything seems to be mixed. Is this not risky for the 28 animals to be housed in this place?
Yes, some people think actually the cows are going to fall sick. But to the contrary, because the best bedding material for these cows is actually their cow dung. It's the soft material on which they can sleep without feeling pain. So that cow dung cushions this cow from a hard surface. Now, that is number one. Secondly, me as a farmer, I'm consolidating my manure in one place without being hit by rain, and there is no leaching. Even the urine that would be wasted is now embedded within that manure. So which means I have rich organic manure for later use in my other enterprises. But also, we've also reduced on labor and the water that we used to use when we used to have a concrete structure. Because we had to use water on a daily basis to clean the structure. We had to employ people to keep clean the structure and heap the dung. So a multitude of these all problems. But by doing this system, we improved the cow comfort. We consolidated the manure. The manure storage did not become a problem. We stopped the rain hitting the manure and then losing most of the nutrients. We harvested the urine that would be lost in the first place. We reduced on the use of water. So a number of things. And in farming, every coin saved makes a difference.
For most aspiring entrepreneurs, their biggest challenge is startup capital. How did Nicholas handle this issue?
Capital is not the biggest problem. Yes, capital in terms of land, that would be the biggest problem. But the other capital, you can easily generate it. When I started here, I was unfortunate that I didn't have land, so I had a job I was doing and I had to raise and buy land. But assuming I had land, by a little saving, you could raise to buy an animal. I'm a graduate, I've left university, I don't have a job, and I can't get the money, direct physical money from my relatives. What do I do? If I'm a relative to Nicholas, I'll come to Nicholas and say, give me 2 birds. Just chicken, 2 birds. I go to Rosemary and say, give me another 2. By the end of your 2 of your relatives, you'll end up with about 20 birds. Go feed them. In a year, you'll have 200. Haven't you raised capital? But the challenge we have is that we want physical money to invest and have a balance and live a nice life.
What about returns? How long should it take one to start realizing profits in this business?
In farming, I think profits may take 1 year and you can start making money. The only challenge is that the profits we are making, we want to live on them. You quickly want to now live a luxury life from your profits. No, that's not the case. To make any meaningful enterprise, you have to keep reinvesting in. For example, we get investors from outside this country. Someone comes with billions and billions of money, sets up a factory. Don't expect this person to have recouped his investment in 2 years and start living a luxurious life. It takes time to recoup the investment and also keep making money. I'll take an example in 2004 when we started with about 30 cows. A cow gives birth every year. So in the last almost 16 years, in the last 12 years, we've had about 30 times 12, that's about 360 animals. Assuming it calves once, and then every year it calves, and whatever the offsprings don't calve, isn't it? It's just a straight line. That's about 360 animals. And every year we are selling off the excess. So how much money do you think we generated? A cow average in this region, let's take it at minimum 1 million. So I would expect in those 12 years, we have made about 360 million.
How much milk can someone get from a cow per day?
Currently, we are getting 310, 320, sometimes 290 liters from 24 cows. It's not our best production, but it's because it is controlled by the price of milk currently. And also sometimes when the cow has already calved, even if the price improves, you just don't going to give it a good feed instantly and then it improves production. So once you start with a poor diet, it might remain there until the next lactation.
When we return, we make more discoveries about zero grazing on a large scale. Did you know that calves are not kept in the same kraal as the big cows? Keep watching. Nicholas takes us through how the special feed for the animals is prepared.
Our feeding is based on a nearly what we call a total mixed ration, what we call like a balanced diet. You don't allow this cow to sort anything from whatever you give it. So how do we, what are the major feeding components here? We grow maize that we keep in, we turn it into silage, we preserve and it becomes silage. When you preserve it fresh, it becomes silage. We also cut the natural grass in our paddocks. We harvest it, dry it and make hay. And then we use the brewer's mash. From the brewery in Mbarara, we pick brewer's mash, the spent grain, the waste products of the brewery, which we also use as a source of protein and energy or carbohydrate. And then we also put in the green chop. We have a garden of napier grass where we harvest and chop and put in a green chop. And then we mix into these feeds for the animals to eat. We are very cautious about the price. Our feeding is based on the price of milk in this region. So if the price is low, then our feeding also matches that in order to remain profitable. So we have our silage stored here. It's in we use pit silage. Our pit is 10 feet across and 4 feet deep, then 70 feet long. Now, a full pit like this will take us 4 months on 30 animals. We have this, we have a second one, we have a third one, and the fourth one. So in other words, we still have like 10 months of feed. But remember, also have hay. So if you see, we have like 1 year of feed. So if let's say the season failed, then we'll know we'll continue feeding our animals until 1 year from now. Now we have already removed the silage for the afternoon feeding. So after milking, then we'll put in this feed in the troughs, mix it with hay and the other ingredients, and then we'll have the cows eating. This pit was done in 2015, so we're still feeding on it. We cover and then put soil on top. So we line the pit with tarpaulin so that there is no contamination with soil. Then we have molasses here, sugarcane molasses, which we use to silage some of the products like maize stovers. After people have harvested maize, so we don't waste the stovers. So we also pick them, chop them down, put in molasses, and keep them as feed. Wow, this is gold, so we don't want it to pour. And it's safe to eat, don't it? It's actually a medicine. There's a lot of nutrients in this. It's normal to eat, and we incorporate it into animal feed. This is where we keep the bedding material for the calves, because sometimes when it is the rainy season, we don't have enough bedding material, so we pick from there. This is where we keep our hay. Once the hay is dry, we just pick it from the field, come and compact it here, and then every day we pick. When we want to mill, we just pick some, start the machine, mill, and then the chopped hay is taken for feeding. And why we do the chopping, it's because we want to increase the efficiency of utilization. When you put it long like this, the cows will pick and then start trying to sort them out, and you find maybe 20% of it is what? Is wasted. And when I was talking about the vinegar, we are looking at those hard stems. You see? Where the nutrients are locked. So by putting in a little bit of vinegar, then we have this softened or broken down for the cow to pick out the nutrients. We grow fodder crops, and these are rich in nitrogen, and this is basically coriander. So we harvest coriander and dry it in the shade, and then pick off the leaves and the young stems. So this, we incorporate it in our milking feed. Yes, this is very good feed to increase milk production. Keep the brewer's spent grain or the waste from the brewery. Because they are rich in energy, they are easily attacked by bacteria as a rich source of food. So to preserve them, we also keep them underground, and that is the process of ensiding. Ensiding is the process of the silage making process. But in this case, this is ready feed for the animals, but we keep it underground. It goes through the fermentation process, and then we open it for feeding. Why do we do that? One is a storage system. Otherwise, when you leave them in the open, they break down quickly, they mold. But also, the bacteria that ferments them helps to go into the animal rumen, and when they die off, they are used as it's called the microbial protein. The bacteria that is breaking down these feeds, even in the rumen of the animal, have that bacteria. The moment they die off, they are absorbed in the intestines as protein. So the more bacteria, beneficial bacteria you have in, the more protein you also give to this cow, and then the more milk you make. So we associate bacteria as bad, but in this case we are talking of the good what? Bacteria. For example, this was a pit which contained a little consignment of that. So when we pick out, then we put in these drums. You can see it is as fresh as it came from the brewery. You understand? Now this is the mash that we're going to be feeding on this afternoon. Now every day we scoop off, maybe say half of this bucket. Before this exposure starts the deterioration process, isn't it? But before it deteriorates, they use it again. So you know the rate of using is faster than the rate of deterioration. Now, but we also avoid them going into the pit every day and exposing what is in the pit, otherwise it will get spoiled. So that's the process we use.
There is always a lot to learn when you visit the different farmers. Nicholas takes us through why the cows are separated from their mothers. How then they feed is important to note.
Once the cow calves, we just pick the calf from the cow and then we start feeding it on the bucket. The reason is we want to control the amount, to know how much this calf is taking. And we well know that the milk is not meant for us. We only encroached on the milk for the calf. And also understanding the concept of how cows should take milk. This is our feeding method, and we are avoiding putting milk like other farmers do, putting milk in the bucket and then you allow the calf to drink with the neck down. The reason is by raising the calf's neck as it's drinking milk, you're avoiding the milk from going into the rumen and then the milk going into the abomasum, where the milk is supposed to be. And this bucket has a regulator inside which controls the flow of milk, so that as the calf is trying to pull a lot, as more milk comes, the ball valve closes, and then it's an on and off. It's a repeated process. It becomes an on and off system, and in the process, the calf is generating saliva in the mouth, which saliva goes along with the milk and coagulates it in the abomasum, and then the calf is able to utilize it efficiently. like it feeds naturally on its mother. Because we will start feeding the milk on day one. At 3 months, we wean it off, and then we milk this cow for a further 7 months without giving this calf milk. So we have more milk from this cow, but with also a healthy calf. If you took this bucket within 1 week, you will see a change immediately, because you are sending milk to its right place, and the calf is able to pick as much nutrients as possible from this from the milk it takes, and then you see its body changing, and the color of the hair for the calf will be changing, becoming smooth. When you are using this bucket, you don't forget hygiene. It's like those who have kids who are feeding on bottles. Hygiene is of paramount importance, so we try as much as possible to clean these buckets and also disinfect them, and then we keep using it like that. And these cows don't survive on milk alone. We also have what we call the high energy, high protein feed for them. This is a calf meal. We don't buy the commercial meal, so we do our own meal here. And basically this is the whole maize grain, which we mill at the farm, plus cotton seed cake, sunflower seed cake, and the soybean meal, making up 20% of protein. We also put in multivitamins and also minerals. And we encourage the calf to take 1 kg of this calf meal per day. But we also have always keep water on the troughs 24/7, so that this calf has access to water whenever it wants. Then after that, we also encourage the calves to feed on dry grass, that's hay, instead of the soft green stuff. Whenever we finish feeding them, especially on milk, then we allow them to go out in that exercise yard, and they run around. These are young, they need to strengthen their bodies, their brains, also to get conditioned to the environment, as opposed to keeping them indoors all the time. It's like probably you see these kids also playing outside. We give names for easy recognition. So for example, when you talk of Ivare, anyone knows what Ivare looks like, what the problem with Ivare is. If it is sick, then they know Ivare fell sick. Rather than having 910 and 911, they all look the same. We grow soybean for the calves especially, but after removing the seed, the other straw, the husks, the stems, the dry stems, we mill them down into powder, and then we keep mixing with the coriander, and then we have a feed for our animals. So we are trying to see that we don't waste anything.
Nicholas believes that if you are not exposed to challenges, you don't develop. Please share with us some of those challenges that have helped you grow.
In the beginning, when we were introducing zero grazing here, our people didn't know about it, and they were not ready to change. So my workers, it was a fight with my workers. Some had to leave because they knew it was impossible. Including my neighbors, the community around did not believe someone could keep more than 2 cows on zero grazing. And here we had started with 20 animals. The second one is the young people who are capable, who should be in production, are already out of production. So there is no labor, and at that there is also no skilled labor. The third one is the lack of machinery and expensive machinery. But finally, it's the market is there, but at how much? The farm gate prices in this region are too low. Sometimes in the flash period, we get up to 500 shillings a litre, or even less than 500 shillings a litre. It doesn't make economic sense. We wonder why. Yet, when you transport this milk to the urban center in Mbarara, just 20 kilometers away, the consumer is ready to pay a minimum of 1,000 shillings. So, and also we don't have utility power, so the shelf life. You have to milk and straight away go to the market. So, which is also another challenge. But we are not giving up. One of the things, maybe I'm born a fighter because of my past. Probably my parents taught me to persevere or to persist. One of the things, I believe in challenges. If you're not exposed to challenges, you don't develop. So the challenges we are facing, we are getting solutions. Slowly by slowly. They don't come just all of a sudden.
Next week on Seeds of Gold, we continue to tap into the brains of Nicholas Matsiko. Get to see the water reservoir, how he uses solar to pump the water, what else he is doing on the farm. It's been great having you on the show. Until next time, this has been Seeds of Gold.